Welcome to Huddle Up. We're back for another episode. Rob Clark back with me this week, and we've got our resident expert, Coach Burket, in with us today. Coach, thanks for joining us.
No problem. Like I said before, I just after your last couple of guests, I hope I can hold up my end here, and we'll give you everything I got, and hopefully it's enough.
That's great.
Welcome, Coach.
First, I want to run through a couple things here before we get started. I want to thank our sponsor, Maxie's, who's always on board with us, and thank you, Rob. And also, I want to remind everybody about the spring game coming up, 11 and 12. We're going to have a lot of activities. Sign up. Go to our website. You can sign up there. Real quick, too, just to subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook. All right, Coach, we're going to jump into it, man. Here we go. And no pressure, Coach. No pressure. You're used to this. You did enough during the season. Just coming out of the gate, what's the most exciting thing what are you most excited about this year with the recruiting class you brought in?
Well, number one, every coach enjoys getting out there and meeting these guys, and getting to watch their film and talk to their high school coaches and their teachers about what type of men they are and stuff like that. So the most exciting part is finding young men that love to play football and fit into our family. That's the whole thing about the RR4L is, family for life. And, we're very conscientious about the guys that we're adding to the family now at this part, and just getting to know these young men and their family. And of course, the unknown about the potential of what these guys can accomplish when they're here. That part's always the most exciting to us as far as the recruiting process goes.
How long, just one quick follow-up. How many days, how long is that journey from the end of the football season to where the end of recruiting is when signing?
Well, for us, it started last spring. Now I know some like Division I schools, they're done for their next class recruiting in the spring. That's not the way it works for us. And we're still a developmental program. So we're focusing on recruiting high school players. So it started last spring, contacting coaches, going to a bunch of prospect camps, having our prospect camps all summer, visiting these guys at other camps. We had recruits up here for almost every home game. They're partly responsible for making our home game atmosphere for what it is, getting them here on campus. So really, it started last spring, and when signing day rolled around, it is kind of a day to take a sigh of relief that. All the work that you put in for the guys joining the program are part of it. So yeah, it's part of it. And literally, we end the season, and then about a week and a half later, we're setting up visits and out on the road right after Thanksgiving. So it's a quick turnaround for us. But like I said, it's a great change for us as coaches from focusing on the field to putting our family together. It's always a good change of pace for us. And of course, the players, the student athletes from high school have been waiting a long time to see us and get recruited. So it's a fun time for both sides in the recruiting process.
Coach, I want to say this, we've known each other for a long time, and I've seen the other side of it. I've had ball players recruited by you, and I've met you in the lobby and shook hands, and we've done the whole thing, and you've done a great job, and I appreciate it. But what you did last year, by picking up the slack with everything that happened with the season last year, everybody thanks you. You did a great job. I know some of my former players at SHIP really do appreciate what you did. So, Coach, from all of us, thank you very much.
But I appreciate that. It means the world that you guys would think that. I will tell you that never was Mac's finger too far removed from the pulse of the way things go. So I appreciate you saying that. It's been almost 25 years now I've been a part of this, and this is family, and all of you guys are family. So there was really nothing else to do but do what we did. So I appreciate you saying that. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. So what were some of the positions you were targeting based on need with this recruiting class?
Well, Coach, and this, the two groups that you always wanted to focus on first was offensive line and defensive line. So, going out there, finding the guys that could really control the line of scrimmage was of extreme importance to us. From a defensive standpoint, the last couple of years, we've lost a lot of good players to the transfer portal. And so replacing some defensive linemen were extremely important. From an offensive line standpoint, we've had good players here. We just needed more depth on the offensive line. We needed to get more athletes in here to make those two positions a little deeper. And like I said, everyone that's ever coached who's listening to this show knows that it's the offensive and the defensive line that makes this go. So if there were two positions that stood out, I think those were the top two. And then I'd say right after that, the defensive backs. Again, just graduation and turnover had really drained that room with a number of bodies. So again, we made it an effort to get a lot of defensive backs on campus so we could get some more guys in that room. And I think the big thing that you're going to see across the board, or the word that you're going to hear consistently, is competition at every position. We needed to find enough guys that we're having guys compete at every position every day. So we're getting the most out of the guys that are here on campus.
Rob and I were talking before you got on with us, and you got some big guys on the offensive line. There's some big numbers. And the other thing I noticed, from the info you sent me, some guys wrestling, basketball, track and field, multi-sport guys. And, I think back to a guy who I played with, Kenny Schaefer. He was an amazing wrestler. He was a three-time all-conference left tackle for us. And I mean, that's a real kind of additional skill set. It looks like you got some good all-around athletes up on that line.
Well, and I again, from a recruiting standpoint, all right, you're not always looking for the guys that specialized in football or only did football in high school. And the fact of the matter is, if there's someone that's competing year round, all right, I'm interested in that guy. I want that guy that knows how to compete and knows how to win. And yeah, I'm especially going to say from a wrestling standpoint, when you talk about something that translates from one sport to the next, not only the physical aspect of it, but the individual responsibility, the dedication that it takes, the whole 9 yards. But I don't care if it's wrestling, basketball, baseball, track and field. It's just great to see guys competing year round and not just trying to specialize in a sport thinking that, hey, I'm going to get a scholarship in one sport and that's going to take care of all my problems. It's great to see those guys out there doing it. And the other thing I'm going to point out is, again, and I know we talked about it in some other editions, but having Coach Gallardi back, who was a former player, that's helping out with the offensive line, a guy that came in as a defensive lineman, got asked to move to offensive line, moved after his redshirt year, 4-year starter, championship team in 2009. Just having that guy on staff is a huge benefit, not only for the offensive linemen that are here, but like you said, going out and finding some guys with some size this year on both sides of on the line. I think that you can't underestimate how much of importance it was having Coach Gallardi added to the staff.
All right, so Coach, did you have any transfers join the program from the transfer portal, and did we lose many guys to the portal? And I just want to add this one. I did see one of them as a quarterback from the Patriot League. The last time we did that, okay, it was Bryson Musina. We got a pretty good one there. So how'd that work out?
Well, obviously getting Bryson a number of years ago paid huge dividends, and simply in just the fact that, Bryson coming out of high school was a proven winner, tried Division I, found a home here at Division II at Shippensburg, and now he's a Red Raider for life. So obviously that was one of the positions that we wanted to give guys opportunities to if they wanted to come in. So our hope is that we are getting a Bryson Messino type player in the guys that we're bringing in during the transfer portal. I think one thing that you can see is getting a quarterback here during the spring not only gives us an extra arm, but it also gives the guys a chance to learn the system, get used to his teammates, indoctrinate himself as a leader on the team, those type of things. But you and I were talking beforehand. He's going to be tested every step of the way. We've got a pretty good recruiting class at the position of quarterback, and the idea was to bring in some freshman quarterbacks that were great athletes, that were winners at the high school level, And I know I mentioned this before. Now we've got guys that are going to compete across the board because every one of those freshmen are hungry. The young man that we had transfer in from Bucknell, he wants to be on the field too. So this is only going to make us better across the board. In addition to the quarterback spot, I had mentioned defensive backs. We were able to find a couple of defensive backs in the transfer portal too. Again, quarterback is a position you want there in the spring, so they're learning the system. Same with our defensive backs. They're the quarterbacks of the defense, making the coverage calls and a lot of checks and stuff like that. Getting them here in the springtime is huge. And like I said, we're not a big transfer portal team, but again, defensive backs was one of the areas that we wanted to get those in. And the good part is we got a very nice mix of defensive backs from the transfer portal, and we're recruiting defensive backs from the high school level. And if there's an area or a position group where guys can get on the field early, it's defensive back at certain positions. You learn the coverage calls. Speed is speed at this level. It's not like you're defensive lineman that only weighs 220 pounds and you're going to go against a 26-year-old that's been in the program for 5 years or something.
Right.
Speed is speed on the top end. So we're excited about getting a quarterback in the transfer portal, someone that's going to make our room more competitive. And we're excited about the DB room, getting guys here to learn the system as soon as they can. So there's a smoother transition when things come in the fall.
Let's talk a little bit about, you got some big tight ends, athletic tight ends, it looks like, and some linebackers. Can you talk about those position groups?
Well, sure. In our mind here, we can't have enough tight ends. So the fact that we've got some, that's great. We'll continue to get as many tight ends as we can. Coach Mack, Coach Ware loves the tight end in the system, and so that's something that we're going to get there. We've had Landon Bailey, who came in last year as a freshman, redshirted, has done a great job in the off season, putting on weight, becoming a master of his craft at the tight end, and we're certainly excited to see him there. We've moved a couple guys to the tight end spot. We've recruited a couple tight ends. So like I said, I don't think Coach Mack and Coach Ware can ever have enough of those guys, but they are going to be an integral part of our offense. And I can tell you from a defensive standpoint, tight ends are the difficult ones to defend, especially the ones that are athletic enough to be displaced and move out of the box, and you can come in and be online guys, that kind of stuff. So I'm excited to see what they do this spring and next fall when the younger guys join. Of course, I'm partial to the linebackers. I appreciate you bringing those guys up. And the feeling is here. We played a lot of young guys last year, some true freshmen and some redshirt freshmen. And they've been attacking the weight room and our off-season speed and agility drills very, very hard. I'm excited to see them this spring and see where things are going. We got a couple freshmen that I really feel just brings a lot of athleticism to the room. I just asked them this week to start chewing some glass. We need to play with some viciousness. They're not redshirt freshmen. They're not true freshmen anymore. We need to start impacting our will on some other teams, and it's going to start with the linebacker room.
Coach, you've already partially answered this next question, but we saw that you had a lot of QBs on the roster. Is part of that motivation to avoid what happened last year? Sadly, we did have a lot of injuries at that position. What do you think? Was that part of the motivation, or is this an annual thing?
No, I'm going to say every coach talks about next man up, and we're firm believers of that. We lost some quarterbacks last year during the season that weren't even contact injuries, just things that you never have happen. And really, it wasn't just last season; it was been the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
So yes, having enough depth is very much a part of why we're bringing these guys in, without a doubt. And again, yes, I already answered this. I'm going to say the most important part for us is finding a way to compete. And Bobby Knight said it best. There is nothing better than competition, all right, to get the best out of your athletes. And again, yeah, we want to have depth at every position. We want to feel good that if someone is injured or has to miss for any reason, we can put somebody in there, and we want to have enough depth for it. And Rob, I'm going to agree with you as well. The more we have on there, the more guys that the guys that aren't up with the top 3-4 spots, we got guys that can run the scout team and give the defense a good look. We haven't had that benefit the last couple of years, and having these recruits and these guys on the roster all being in the same room, it shores up a number of things. It gives us depth, it gives us position on the scout team, and then, like I said, most importantly, they're going to have to compete. And the good part is, to a man, these guys are competitors. They're every one of them thinks they're going to be the guy sitting in the first chair in the room, and that's what you want. That's Absolutely. What you want.
Rob, I don't know if you remember, we talked to Zach Zulli, coach, and I had no idea that he was a wide receiver his first year, because he was deep down on the depth chart at quarterback, and he said he volunteered for everything, special teams, wide receiver, and that's a great mindset for a guy coming into the program as a freshman.
Yeah. Well, I've handled punt return since I got here in 2002, and like you said, he was a little bit further down the depth chart, and I knew he had a great set of hands. So he was actually our punt returner for the one season for Coach Reese's last season. And to a man on the coaching staff, we knew what he was capable of as an athlete. It really took Coach Yursich getting here for him to flourish at the quarterback spot. But yet again, and I think you'll see a lot of selflessness from the guys on the roster. I mentioned Coach Gallardi, making the move when he was here. But even if you look at this year's roster, we've had some guys move from the defensive line to positions offensively because it was the best thing for our team. And I can't say enough about those guys that have been unselfish in making the move for the program.
I'm a Western PA guy, and when I played there, we always had a ton of guys from the West. I don't see any guys from the West.
Fran, the thing that has happened is, one, we used to play in the West. Now we play in the East. All right. So we only get at most two games out in the West there. Plus, everybody's vying for Pennsylvania kids. And so now we've got to go up against every school in the West has more scholarship money than us.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Sure.
So I mean, going out to Pittsburgh is not always in our best interest, because we spend a lot of time on guys that we're not going to get, because when it's all said and done, now we get some guys that are interested in engineering, criminal justice, and we get some guys that way. But when I first started working here, we were out West, so we could say, okay, you're going to get all your games out here. And it was a little different. Now, with not being in the West and not having the money that the Western schools have, we're just, it doesn't make financial sense for us to spend a lot of time out there. We're not going to get them because of who and where we play and the money situation.
So you got the guys in now. So what happens now moving forward for these guys in the spring? What do you like? What's the plan? Do you get them a program, or they already got looking at playbooks? So how's it work with the recruits?
Well, from a recruiting standpoint, right now we're hoping, like we talked about already, that most of them are finishing up basketball and wrestling, getting ready for baseball and track. And listen, we don't want to affect their senior year in high school. And typically what we're doing is we stay in constant contact with the guys that we're recruiting, and then reach out to our position groups to let them know. You mentioned the spring practices and the alumni practice on April 12th. We're sharing that schedule with them, encouraging them to get here. And when they come, we include them in everything that the NCAA allows us to do. They can watch practice, they can ask questions, and we can tell them what's going on. But for the most part, we're letting them concentrate on finishing their senior year strong academically, finishing up whatever sports that they're involved in, and doing those things. Now we're telling them, listen, if you're involved in a weight program, focus on the basics: bench, squat, power cleans, auxiliary lifts to keep the body symmetric, those type of things. They'll get an actual workout right after the alumni practice. All right. Usually at the start of May, when our guys from here start their summer workout program, they'll get an abbreviated edition for all the incoming freshmen. So right now, and I know this wasn't part of your question, but it does help explain things. Right now, our guys are lifting 4 times a week. We're working on speed, conditioning, agility, plyometrics 2 times a week. That'll be the format for the summer. So that's what the guys that are returning and the incoming freshmen will be doing. Now, the incoming freshmen, the program won't be as expansive, and there'll be a lot more instructive stuff to it to gear them ready for getting here in summer camp. But they're getting the hard knock basics of it, so they're prepared to come in here and compete right away. No more than the last 2 seasons has it been a good opportunity for young guys to get on the field more quickly. So we want to make sure they're prepared physically. From a mental standpoint, those guys coming in aren't really going to get submersed in what we're doing until they get here for summer camp. All right, until they get here for summer camp. Now they'll get some manuals during the summer and stuff like that, but the meat and potatoes of the playbooks from offense or defense, they're really not getting submerged in those until they get here for summer camp.
Yeah, hey, and for your workout, you got a good one with Coach Kerstetter. He is impressive. So, yeah, let's keep that rocking because he's doing a lot of good stuff.
Well, and the big thing that we're trying to convince the guys now is getting guys to stay on campus, take some classes during the summer. We're trying to find them student work up this way, or not student work, but summer jobs up this way, so they can stay up here. And the idea is the more time that they can spend with Coach K, the better. And listen, there are Division II programs out there that don't have a weight room specifically for student athletes, let alone a weight room that looks like ours does. There are a lot of Division II programs out there that don't have a full-time strength and conditioning staff. We realize how fortunate we are, and we are taking advantage of that aspect. And the guys that are here right now, I'm telling you, I am very pleased with how hard they are working in the weight room and on the field with the speed and agility aspect of it.
All right, so I'm going to put you on the spot here. So, what's the outlook for spring ball? First of all, when does it start? And is it okay if you have alumni stop in and watch?
Yeah, listen, Coach Mack has always had an open door policy to the alumni, and to a man on the coaching staff, everybody enjoys guys coming back to the practice and stuff like that. The plan for April 12th is to have an alumni practice more so than a spring game. And if guys that were here last year, remember, that was guys down on the field watching position groups, being around the group sessions, and then the situational stuff. So you're going to see a lot more football and a lot better football than you'd see if it was just a traditional spring game. And again, that really stems from the alumni that we had here last year and the feedback that we got from the way we ran practice last year. So I know that's Coach Mack's intentions for April 12th on the alumni practice. And I know that whole weekend between what you guys have scheduled and what we have planned, it's a great week for anyone to come back. So definitely come back on the 11th and 12th of April. But again, any practice, anytime. If once a Red Raider, always a Red Raider. And now be aware that if you're there, Coach Mack will drag you in front of the guys, and you're going to have to relive some of your stories and give some words of wisdom. But I haven't found very many guys who haven't nailed it when they've been put on the spot.
Now, Coach, I got to tell you, that was really one of the coolest experiences. I think last year, Rob would agree. To be on the field, you're out there right with the guys going through drills. And it was just a great time. And I know at the end, Coach brought us all together, players, alumni, recruits, and it was a great moment.
Well, I think Coach Mack really agrees with you there, and I know at least for this year, that's the vision he has for the players and for the alumni and recruits.
Look forward to it, and especially Friday night, hanging out with Frankie B. I haven't seen him in probably 30 years. But yeah, the whole weekend is just a good time, and yeah, I think everybody's really looking forward to it.
Yeah, we got Friday night. We're having a reception. We got Frank Van Buren's going to do our keynote speaker, which is really cool. Saturday morning, we're going to announce the winner of the Bill Coakley Red Raider Impact Award and at the team breakfast. So we get to have breakfast with the team. you know, and then we're going to go over to the field and do the practice, and then followed by a big barbecue outside the stadium for everybody, that, you know, alumni and players and coaches and all of that. And then close it off with a happy hour over at Creekside. So it's a big weekend, but man, it's a lot of fun.
So does that mean we have to hit Maxie's on Friday night since we're going to Creekside Saturday night?
That's true. We could go to Maxie's on Friday night. We got to get them all in. We gotta
Nice.
for everybody. Well, Coach, thanks a lot for joining us, man. That was great, insightful, and as always, you did a great job. I don't know if our podcast will ever match John Kuhn numbers from, but
I would not expect. Well, and listen, in my mind, it was Dan Walsh who carried the day. He was one of the he was one of the first guys I coached. He was in my position group when I first got here. And just a quick note on him and Chris Leonetti, who were the two of the older guys when I got that. You were talking about guys you played with and stuff like that. The thing I appreciate about those two young men is all you had to do was roll the balls out, and they were ready to go. I mean, and so those are two of my favorites. And like I said, so I know everyone was excited to see John Kuhn last week, and so was I. But for me, you know, Dan Walsh carried the day, and he's one of my favorites because he was part of that first group that I was involved with, and you kind of never forget those guys that were there your first year here.
yeah. Great, Coach.
Nice.
Well, next week, we're going to have one of my guys, Fred Glasgow, is going to be on, probably one of the great early running backs at Ship. Top Gun fighter pilot. The story is tremendous, you know, the things he's done. But so thanks a lot, Coach. Rob, thanks. Great seeing you. And we'll see you in April, Coach.
Thanks for including me, guys. I really appreciate it. Have a
See
good
you,
night.
Coach. Thank you.